The ones with the least resources, which are generally Black and brown communities, by design with redlining and housing discrimination, like and that's the thing, like all of those systems, including mental health and social work, all feed into policing and the policing mindset and we have to control people and populations. We have to punish people who make mistakes or break laws or whatever, regardless. Like that was one of the things from sociology back in the 90s was, the whole thing about like somebody would go to jail for stealing a loaf of bread, but we had at the time the savings and loan scandal. The guy that did that, Michael Milken, like he went to like a country club prison. Nothing really happened. But if you steal a loaf of bread because your kids are hungry, like you're in jail in like one of the most violent systems, being like LA County, California, one of the most violent systems in the country.
Whew. That's a lot on police.
Yeah.
Let's talk about safety of women. You wrote a book.
Yeah.
Man School, relating with women in the MeToo era. Can you tell us a little bit about the book and a little bit about the MeToo era and what men need to learn about that era?
Yeah. So it's really like it kind of comes about through the same lens, which is if we care about people, we would do things differently. If we set aside or if we acknowledge that we all have certain lived experiences based on our gender, skin color, religion, physical abilities or disabilities, things like that, right? And so when the Me Too movement happened online, now Me Too was started by a Black woman named Tarana Burke in 2006, and she doesn't get enough credit. She often doesn't get credit for that. But so she started Me Too, and then around 2017, 2018, with the Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby and all of that, the hashtag Me Too, the online movement was started, and women were sharing their stories online. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of what was happening was men not being in that lived experience would push back and be like, well, that doesn't make sense. You must have done this, or you must have done that, or it couldn't be that bad or whatever. And negating the lived experiences of mostly women. There were some men too, but mostly women who were sharing their stories. And so because I've been involved in this type of work for a long time, I was engaging with men, on mostly Facebook, and women were like, oh, you get it. We're exhausted. Please write a book or teach a class or something. Mm-hmm. And so, I wrote the book because I figured that would be like, who's going to come to a class, right? Right. So I wrote the book. It's short. It's like 73 pages or something. But it's really about relationships and acknowledging other people's lived experiences and how we can listen better, how we as men at the time, and this was 2018. So the book is very like gender binary, like, men and women. There's not really a lot in between. That's something I would probably do differently now. But, it's interesting because the whole thing about like the man or the bear thing has just come up, on social media. But it really is about our personal development as men. Like, how can we show up and really be confident and strong in who we are, but also being sensitive. And, in my work, transformative leadership, the leaders who have inspired me, that I've been inspired to follow, are always the ones who've had compassion and empathy and knew who I was, cared about who I was, cared about what I was interested in. Like, those are the people that I would, go to battle for. Mm-hmm. It's the ones that are like putting on this fake vibrato and the alpha, like whatever, and I'm in charge. Like, I have no respect for folks like that, So it's really about, like you were saying at the beginning, like developing empathy and compassion and acknowledging that we all have different lived experiences based on how we grew up and who we grew up with and how we show up in the world.
Yeah, I've had to check a couple of male friends of mine since the whole Diddy scandal has come out. And before the video, they were like, I don't understand why she just didn't go to the police. And, why didn't she just leave? And I'm like, bro, it's like you really don't understand power dynamics. And, and these conversations are important, but also I understand why women are just absolutely exhausted talking about it. If you like that clip, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch up on all of our latest content. Don't forget to hit the notification button when you do subscribe so you can get updated every time we release content. We release content every day, whether it's an actual show or clips from the shows. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. Also, don't forget our Patreon page where you can find our Talking Straight-ish and After Hours Uncensored episodes. That's patreon.com/unsolicited perspectives. But once again, thank you again for listening to Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, and I'm going to catch you next time. I'll holla.